Good evening, sir.
The faces of Keith and Kelly past
That's right.
the
The ghost of
bash.
Christmas future
Yeah, wow.
for tonight.
Oh man, what the well, I had a blast at the bash.
Oh my gosh, so did I. Hi, Robin. I was hoping you were watching tonight. I loved meeting
So
you.
so very fun. Finally to get to meet Robin. I will tell you that was one of the highlights of my trip. I'll be very honest.
Rachel.
We've held a very fun relationship with her documentation from her Casa Robin Ghost
That's right.
Airlines,
Yeah.
and we got to just have fun and laugh and talk to some. I got to actually kind of go back and I won't mention this person's name, but I did get to go back and really kind of make anew with a person that I had really hoped to get to see one day. And this person was there, and I just came up and said, "Look, there was a time when I was going through a lot, the loss of my brother and dad and mom, and a mixed bag of things in life that were not going so well. But I told him, I really sorry about that, but hopefully things will get better in the future. I really hope so because he's a great guy." And then I'll tell you one of the favorite people I got to meet there, besides Robin, that was a blast.
Yeah.
I got to meet Tim Weinsberg, and he's a very funny person, very, very, very funny. And we shared some time. We shared a little bit of comedy, but I got to speak with him for a while too, and kind of just open up. But the long term short, I really wanted to get to meet him and say hello, and I support him in what he does. He's a great guy and does a great thing. So
Yeah.
that was beautiful. And then as we went around the whole bash, I tell you, it was a very there was so much to do that I wasn't even able to keep up with all the things I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
I did buy some things there. I got some lovely little treats for some people that I care about that have been around me in the paranormal world and supported me. And I got, that. And then I brought a crystal home to the house. What is that? John Coventry, or the nice little guy there that was
John
at the
Covey. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Covey. And he was nice to meet and talk to and have fun.
Oh, yeah. I was happy to see him and his mom.
And then there's this Mike Catchings, folks.
I loved meeting Mike. I loved meeting him. He was so fun.
Who has not got to meet Mike Catchings? Mike was a hoot.
We had a great travel buddy from Texas.
We traveled together. Mike kind of liked to do some things kind of old fashioned, but they kind of helped me at sometimes in his old fashioned ways.
Sure.
They just kind of contributed to the whole trip. It was kind of an old fashioned trip. So anyway, but it was fun. We went and investigated and had some really good times on the bridge. I know the Lincoln Bridge we went to, and that was pretty interesting. Wow. So I am excited about next year. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Already. I think I may have one or two bags still packed. Don't tell Steve Dills on me because I'll just make fun. But one or two bags I think are still packed that if anyone wants
Gettysburg
to go
bags.
this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. We had people come to our room and hang out and just have fun. We had a little, fun times. I didn't even get to make it to the Kelly room.
I wasn't in the room very much, to be honest with you.
And then they had I did get to see some of the singing, the contest. That was wild. They had that. And then there was some swimming going on in the pool. And then there was, what else was, oh geez, it was some fun times. But,
it was a great time. Hi, Fred. Oh, I love seeing everybody. Oh, that's so great. And we get to bring on one of my dearest friends. Paranormal tonight. And I'm so thankful that he come on, and he has
I'm going to let Kelly do the intros tonight.
Awesome news. And so without further ado, I'm just going to bring him in. I don't do the whole wrestling promo like Keith does, but I will say that not only is he a dear member of my closest parafam, but he's also the founder of Vapor. And he's also the manager now running Ghost City Tours in Gettysburg. So, Andy Andrews, everybody.
Hey,
Andy in the house.
What's
Andy from the Bash. Hey, Andy, did you get to meet Mike Catchings?
I did. What a great guy.
What's your impressions? What's your impressions about Mike?
He was really funny. Really funny. I don't know. I had some of them lemon bars that you brought along. So,
well, I got somebody gifted me these things.
Once you gave that to me, that was it. There was
then I just, kind of put them on the table, and
you were
people were having a ball. But I tell you, there was nothing left for good times. We went and did and had just some memories, because we did get to go to the Dobbin House. That is an old building, like 17. Goodness gracious, old. It's an old building. If you've never got to go there, you should. It reeks of paranormal history, and it was super, super fun. But I'll tell you what, without further ado, like Kelly said, this is an evening with Andy. So, Andy, just break it loose, buddy. Let us know about all things Andy.
Start at the top.
Yeah, so I was in third grade, and one time
well, back when I first was born. So I guess paranormal. I grew up in Virginia, like around the Cedar Creek battlefield area, in a little town called Strasburg, and started having some paranormal happenings at a really young age. Behind my house, where we built our house at, there was actually a Confederate ammunition dump. So from what I can recollect, 3-4 years old, I would see people outside walking at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And then it got to a point, like my parents, I would tell them, and they would start to think something was wrong with their son, I guess. That's the easiest way. And I grew up right beside my grandmother, who is gifted. And my parents actually took and put me through some medical things, thinking that I had this wild imagination, and they couldn't find anything, couldn't figure out. And finally, my grandmother stepped in and told them that, maybe he's gifted, which I'm not sure if I am that, but I was definitely at an innocent age seeing things like that. And then I just kind of grew into it, met a good friend, Carl Lawhead, when we were 15. He was from Fredericksburg, grew up in a house that was used as an officer's headquarters during the battle. He was having a lot of paranormal. We were, I guess, 14, 15 when we met. And I would call it more urban exploring at that time, going into houses. And we knew there was a house. We would camp together at a resort. And so we'd take the girls down there, and they would want to go experience the haunted house. And then about, I guess I was 15, Carl invited me, and we got to go to a seminar with Lorraine Warren. And that changed things from my perspective. Listen to them. We had no idea that paranormal research was a thing. We just thought, and so we bought, if you remember, the old tape recorders that had like the record and play that you had to push at the same time. That was my first piece of equipment, and a Polaroid, and rest is history. So,
wow.
Yeah, got a lot of, it was really a weird time, especially cassette tapes. I still have that thing too. I should try that. Used to catch some good EVPs on that. But from that point, Carl and I kind of lost touch. I did some traveling, played music, so that took me everywhere, but always still would go to any kind of haunted attraction, haunted place. Got to see it, got to go into a lot of places because of that. and moved back to the little town of Strasburg and read an ad in the paper where a guy that lived in Strasburg had a paranormal team and was looking for help. And I called it up, and lo and behold, it was my buddy Carl that I hadn't seen in like 10 or 15 years.
Oh.
And so that started all over. And then kind of our creativity and what he wanted to do with paranormal. I mean, we still do things together, but he went one way, I went the other. Was part of Paranormal SOS for a little while, and doing things a lot on my own. And then I created Vapor, which is Valley Agency of Paranormal Research, and has some pretty good guys and gals on that. And always loved Gettysburg. So I said, me and Taryn Kerper are battling who would get here first. And, so Pam and Steve Barry, they're my family pretty much. I mean, they might not be blood, but they are, just like Kelly here. And so they said, move to Waynesboro. That's close enough to Gettysburg, and love Waynesboro. And that's where I'm at. And was traveling back and forth to Virginia to work.
Wow.
And ended up putting a resume in on Indeed, and a couple of days later they ask you what your hobbies and loves are, and I put down paranormal, and I got a call from Ghost City Tours. We're looking for a manager and opening up a new store on the square in Gettysburg, and it was like it was meant to be. So here I am.
Wow. Isn't that really very awesome? Yeah.
Oh.
And getting to do this every day is, I'm still kind of humbled by it. Well, I'll always be humbled by it, but definitely. But yeah, I've been in paranormal about 36 years. I was figuring that out earlier, and always had ties to it. Yeah. It's not a whole lot about me.
That's a boatload for sure. Now, do people come to the store and seek help, not necessarily looking for a tour, but like they may have something that's going on in their home, and they may say, hey, we need help, or there's something, we bought this house and it's frightening us?
I actually just had a conversation with a young lady a while ago. She's going through the same thing like I did. Nobody believed that she's having this stuff going on. And but people do come in. I'm grateful, being myself an investigator. The gentleman that owns Ghost City Tours, we have about 20, I think we're number 27 or 28 location across the states. And he tries to hire people that are investigators or have something to do in the paranormal field. So I'm blessed to have two other people that work with me that's been, they were investigators in New Orleans, or New Orleans. I'm saying it wrong, but
either way, you're not going to really miss the boat on that one. It's people know, they get the. Too bad they don't open one of those stores in Houston Ghost Tours or something. Or
I know they got.
I know there's
San
Antonio.
Yeah,
and then, I mean, Houston has a lot of the history because of the bayou. It's a bayou town, right. And but there's plenty that's all over the city. I mean, it's spread out because it's a big town. It's not all like condensed. It's
right.
The Galleria and the Mid Center, and it's so spread out. But there's a core of activity from the downtown area that people always tend to say. And you could probably get by with just having the tour. I tell you, it would be a real challenge to do a walking tour in Houston. It's not like a lot of places. You would probably melt your customers. You see days during the summer of 100 and something plus. And then with a heat index, you could be at 107 or 8 or whatever. So it's not very appeasing for people to get out in that and do that, to be honest.
Yeah, the good thing is I don't know if they do it at other locations, but I'm pretty sure they do. Most of our tours, we run 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the evening. We don't do anything during the day. And come on, Rachel. I got a basement for you. It's nice, rent free for the first week. But no, I just have to move my drum set. But Keith knows about that. But no, they usually try to, and most people do wait, because we had a couple 100+ ones here. I guess what, Kelly, 3 weeks ago, probably something like that. Well, during the bash, it was up there too, and you know, a lot of people will take the 8 and 9 tour to make it a little bit cooler. But yeah, we do get people in here a lot that ask us. I mean, I've seen probably 500 pictures since the last 2.5, 3 months I've been manager here. It's like people coming in, look what I got, this and that. Or yeah, we're working. Actually, a couple of us are going on a investigation here soon of a young lady that came in, and yeah, it sounds like she's got a lot of activity in her house and needs help. And that's my number one thing, is helping people out. I mean, that's what I got into it for, was because I didn't want people to go through what I did, and kind of be even outcasted by your own family at first. And, you know, be a voice for people, or, you know, someone that can, that'll believe them. And, you know, I work with some pretty good people. I work with Mike Ross. He's a priest, and he's sanctioned by the St. Michael Order. So we get a lot of calls on stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of times it's just people needing to talk to somebody.
Right.
It might not even be paranormal. So paranormal goes deeper than just ghosts and scary and stuff like that, you know. And we're blessed to also have a counselor that will work with people. And we try to send them to them even before we go too deep on investigating if it's something serious. So, which is cool.
Yeah. Robin has a question. She said, what has been your best catch? I assume she means like evidence capture so far.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably a shadow figure. If you want, yeah, I would say a shadow figure at St. Albans, or I got a really creepy picture at Moundsville one time down in the Sugar Shack. Just snapping pictures, and yeah, I don't even know what to call whatever it is that that I got a picture of, but yeah, that's probably the best. As an EVPs, I mean, we just got one actually here at the store the other night. That is, yeah, we're located right on the square in Gettysburg, so we're between the inn on Gettysburg. Yeah, Rachel's seen that. And the David Will's house, which is where Lincoln stayed at the night before he gave the Gettysburg address. But I know that the inn, it is said that they use that as the basement as a place to store bodies during the battle. And there's a lot of stuff that happens there. And we heard a woman yelling help a couple weeks ago, and there was nobody around. And then we got a very clear EVP the other night that said, because we just had some weird stuff going on in here, like brooms falling, doors opening, and it said, please help me. So not sure. It was a female. But yeah, I would say probably the St. Albans, which Rachel saw and I showed her. And yeah, Moundsville, I got a pretty crazy picture. Whitney. Hey, buddy. Whitney lives in a good spot down in, he's down in Stanton or Staunton. I don't know how they say it, but where the, yeah, a couple of asylums around him. I love the management job. It gives me time. It gives me my opportunity to be creative. They do. They leave and work with people, and they leave it kind of open for us to do things. Yep. Me and Andrew I took the first, Andrew Darling and I and a couple other, Wes Coleman and us took I took my
Wes Coleman
guys. Oh yeah.
Oh, Wes. You know Wes Coleman?
Who, Wes? Yes.
Look at that guy.
But yeah,
You
good
had a
guys.
fun group
We had a
tour.
blast.
Yeah.
But we went on tour, yeah, and it was yeah, they've done a real good job with it here.
Well, I have a question for you. A question I've never asked you. Okay, so little caveat before I ask my question. Doesn't really have much to do with my question. So just kind of an aside, I guess. But so if you are in the chat or watching and you have not investigated personally with Andy, there are many things that I appreciate and enjoy about investigating with him. We investigate a lot together. And we investigate a lot the same way. We've had very unique experiences at different things. Hi, Pam. We love you.
Pamberry.
And so he's just a top-notch investigator, and he's incredibly legit, and he captures amazing evidence, and one of the most calm people that I know when I'm investigating with him. We kind of view things a lot the same way. So I truly appreciate that. So this question, knowing his style of investigation and kind of transferring it to more personal instance, what's your number one takeaway from all of the things that you've done in assisting with cases that are more private and maybe along the demonology perspective?
Right.
Like, what's your number one takeaway from those sorts of cases versus regular investigation or public investigation?
Well, they're very personal, as in just going in for a regular haunting or something like that. A lot of times history will kind of point at what you're dealing with. With the other stuff, I would say that my takeaway from that is that there are bad things out there. I'm not going to say demons because that's a nasty word that they should put away for now.
Sure.
But my takeaway is that no matter who you are, no matter how much faith you have, no matter what you do to keep yourself protected, there's nobody out here that is not subject to go through something terrible, and it opened doors for other things to latch or attach onto. So I try to make sure that I've always, try to not be depressed, try not to do anything like that. You know me personally. I try to keep out of the drama, anything that would open a door. And it could be from, childhood. So, I mean, my takeaway is that nobody is subject, or everybody is subject to the possibility of attachments and bad things to happen. And there are people to help. But yeah, it's try to keep it together for yourself. That's the biggest thing. If you have things that if you have things that you haven't dealt with, even if it's from childhood, you probably should, because it could come back to haunt you. I mean, literally. And yeah, exactly. No pun intended. But yeah, that's my takeaway from it, that there's nobody out here that's not subject to the possibility of getting an attachment, having bad things happen. And yeah, that's about it.
I've got a question, Andy, for you. Oh, what is your favorite? Okay, go ahead, Pam. Go ahead.
Hoover House.
Brownie points. That was quick, Pam. That was
brownie
quick.
Points. Hoover House.
Well, I can say that me and Kelly were there, and we had I tell you, we had quite the little time there.
Oh yeah, Andy was there that night.
What's that?
Yeah,
you were there that night for a while.
Mm-mm.
At the Hoover House, we were there.
Not when Keith was there. I missed it.
Oh, well, you missed him. Okay.
No, but Hoover House, I do love. I actually had an experience last night there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was sitting at the bar area. Pam came out of the kitchen, or came out on that end where usually Steve sits at, and I seen her go by me, and then I seen somebody else go right in behind Steve and into the room like where you did your presentations at.
Okay.
And it just kind of, it was like that flash of seeing something.
Yeah.
And I kept, it like really actually startled me because I've had experiences there, but not like that, you know.
Oh, that's neat.
But I would say that probably Moundsville is my favorite between that and St. Albans. Moundsville's always called me. I just have great luck there, and I don't know. Maybe I'm a prisoner whisperer or something like that, and don't know it.
So that's the one where Red's at, right? Red's
Yes.
in the.
Yes.
I've been there twice, I think, and I tell you, gee whiz, that place is. There's like a beyond haunting. You know, there's haunting, extreme hauntings. You know, and then there's just this. You could hear the disembodied shrieks and yells. And as I talked, you know, me and another investigator were walking way down at the bottoms, and nobody's running, and it was beyond pitch black down there. Couldn't see your hand for your face, and we're ooching along, and I said, "Man, it's got really dark down here." And he goes, "Yeah, it is." And next thing we heard this, "Help me!" real loud, way up above us. And we started realizing, we finally talked to one of the people that's there at the prison. And they said, you got to think about what happened to these men when they're yelling, "Help me." And if you think about it, yeah, it's extreme. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be being killed, but they can be being certainly taken advantage of. And there's nobody there to come to help them.
Hence the name Sugar Shack.
Right.
And these happen, you know, they get up there and there they are, and they're the hot toddy for the night, you know.
Well, even the times that I've gone, I've gone with Andy to Moundsville, and I think it's one of those places, much like Pennhurst in a way, that you just have interaction all the time, whether it's day, night, consistent interaction. It's been.
You got some really good evidence last time we were there, remember?
Yeah, we did.
She actually
and there were also lots of bats.
Yeah, she got evidence that actually had to do with the spirit of a guard. That's what I would say it would have been.
Yeah.
Like doing these rounds, I guess, is the easiest thing to say.
Some of the longest present shadow figures, I think. Like, I easily will watch shadow figures 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time.
Oh, that's at Moundsville?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like to me this is the prelude to a Keith, Kelly, and our boy here doing a super good, cool event.
Hey, whenever you want to go back there, I'll go.
Exactly.
Have it set up to where, say, look, this is not for the faint at heart. If you really want to come and enjoying a pretty extreme haunting at a prison, if you've never been, there's good people that are going to be there to get you through it, because you know, somebody just coming off the bike, riding up with their bicycle and lollipop. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is going to be the place, but tell them, say, if you think that you can lace your boots up and come here, then this might be the one for you.
Yeah.
Well,
and Whitney, I'm sorry to talk over your question, but Whitney's asking when your next investigation is.
The same as Kelly's, Pennhurst, this Sunday night.
Well, I'll be chicken feather and call me Fred.
Right. Yeah, we're going Sunday night to Pennhurst. I'm pretty excited about it.
I've been there twice.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I don't know when we will try to investigate the young lady that was here. Maybe Friday night. But I would say that probably Pennhurst is going to be the next adventure for us.
I was just laughing at the chat. Robin hates bats. And funny story, Robin. And Stephen, this is kind of playing onto what you wrote, and Andrew too. So the last time we were at Moundsville, Andy's behind me, right? With some of the other people. And so we were catching these like bats and things. But for once in my whole entire life, being short was an advantage, because that's exactly what I did. I just dug down a little bit and let the rest worry about the bats. So it worked out fine. But it was pretty fun. But it was also a really, really warm. Remember how warm it was that that one time, the last time we went. So
yeah, it's the best time to go there is either early spring or I would say September, and it's still kind of hot in September. But see, the thing with Moundsville is that they have opened it back up to training SWAT teams there now. So you have to think that has to wind up the energy a little bit in there. Matter of fact, one of my teammates, Tucker, his brother just graduated as for CO, and that's where they had the graduation at. Was at Moundsville. But yeah, they still do they still do all that there, just a training, I guess, for also prison riots, stuff like that. Quentin Davis, my oldest son's best friend.
Oh,
interesting investigation.
Yeah, let's hear it. What's your most interesting? There's a right answer. No, there's not. There's not a right answer. But I mean, I know some investigations you've had that I've been along or been there. We've had interesting investigations. But what's your top one, though?
I had an investigation of a gal's house that was a couple years ahead of me in school. And it was bad enough to where they actually ran out of the house.
Wow.
And she sold the house, beautiful home, sold it. And it ended up that it included everything from probably the past history of the home to elementals. And I actually had an individual, I worked in HVAC's parts and supplies for a while. So I had the big bad contractors coming in that nothing scares them. And so the gal lived in a subdivision. She lived at the end of a cul-de-sac, had a few, I'd say about an acre of woods between her and the next private home. And that private home was a contractor I did a lot of work for or sold a lot to. And he calls me outside at work, and he did not know we were investigating that house at the time. And this is multiple times going. And he says, man, and we had an idea that most likely there was something outside that was messing around that had to do with the property, because we know that they built a lot of these homes, Native American property. And he says, man, I don't know how to talk to anybody else but you about this. He said, but I was in my garage and it's starting to get dark. And I look out under my street light as it kicks on. And he said, I don't know how to explain this, but he said there was two little bitty beings standing there looking at me. He said they looked like goblins mixed with E.T. So I don't know what he was talking about, but he said they ran back into the woods as soon as he saw them. And what's interesting about that was when you walked into that house, Mike Ross and I went through it. Equilibrium was off. Like it just seemed like everything was kind of like a fun house.
And that's amazing. What do you think that might be when you say that's the case? I know, here's my big word. What do you think that could be going on when you get that? I've been doing some little studying and research.
Only if you do the sound.
Andy, for the love. Oh.
Okay. Well,
Robin,
what's your thoughts? Do you think that's where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's interesting, the moment that happens and people start saying, oh man, I feel dizzy. Oh man, I'm going to throw up. Oh man, my head hurts. I'll get over there. First thing I'll pull out of the bag is that EDI, and I'll get readings of EMF of 46. I put one on YouTube or Facebook one day, 46 point.
Uh-oh.
What was so crazy about that is that after it did it
with this computer,
I don't know. I just flipped it. Portal.
I'm laughing because you said about your EDI, and I have something. I'll say it when you're done. But that's not laughing.
Not only did it get that, but it coincided with the other, and then it's not long.
Uh-oh, you froze up.
After that happened, it to like a 0.5, and then it was normal. It went away. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we know that they can cause high EMF, can cause blurry vision, blackouts, dizziness, and all kind high readings.
Yeah, I actually had a case one time that a woman was seeing her, she thought, dead husband coming down the steps, and it happened when she sat in this very chair in the corner of the room, and on the opposite side of the house, or the outside of the house, was the actual branch box, I guess you could call it, coming from the main feed. And the EMF was, it was older house, so the insulation wasn't, the best. And we moved her chair and told her we thought that's what it was, and no problem since then, or at least she hasn't, called us or nothing. And that's something that I do, is I try to stick with all the clients that I've ever dealt with, to make sure I give them a call every couple months, or text them, or if I see them pop up on Facebook. But yeah, the equilibrium thing, we both, working with Mike and what he does, we were both like, well, it's not anything like that. And we both were talking kind of to the point that it seemed like a huge energy shift on that property. And being Native American, I mean, all the stuff that we've learned with that, it's very possible it could have been a portal. And we pretty much cleansed the house, let Mike do his thing. She said, I'm never going back in there other than to move my stuff out. And she stuck to her word. She sold the house. And what's really weird is that the subdivision, we started getting calls from other people. And I don't know if that meant just because she kind of put the word out and people were interested in seeing, or if there's actually something to that,
Sounds like something right out of the movie Poltergeist.
Right. No kidding.
Built on the land where the Indians that were buried, if maybe not a proper way or something, and that unrest just magnifies to the point to where people start saying, there's something going on here, and you can't.
I just had to laugh. Okay, everyone. So I was laughing at my own thoughts, because when Keith said about his EDI, which he really likes. But Andy, when I investigate with Andy, it's like the Mary Poppins bag of stuff. So I'll be like, do you have anything that makes noise? And he'll be like, yeah, I do. And he'll just take something out of his bag. I'm like, do you have your EDI? Yeah, I do. Do you have your laptop? Yeah, I do. Like, I don't know how he fits everything in his backpack, but he's got it all. And then every time I ask him for like random stuff, he's just like, oh, yeah, here it is. Oh, here, I got this. Oh, I have these we could put out.
Yeah, I've got the glowing little keys.
Of nonsense.
He says I have the glowing little balls with the lid on them.
I'm sitting in. Oh,
it flipped again.
Stop sitting in my office. This sits on my. This sits right. Okay, hold on. Where are we going? There we go. Yep, that thing sits right there on my desk all the time.
Oh,
just a cat ball, but. Yeah, it's kind of funny because I'll come in and set up my equipment out here, like just in the lobby, and a lot of people will see it. But
what's your favorite piece of equipment to use? I know people will want to know.
I tell you, I do like the EDI. I really do, because it has everything on it that you need. But honestly, I like the old EVP recorder, and anything like REM pod or something like that. And I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
People just need to know they need to do their base sweeps as they go into the buildings, and they do their safety check, the walk around, and they got that equipment.
Yeah.
When you go through there and then you get this huge spike, you got to say, all right, we just started. Let's start and then you realize, wait. We've got this box on the other side, and you're like, okay, let's mark it. You're not going to shut it off. Let's mark that, and then say it's right here, and then you could put an up arrow and put EMF, high EMF.
Yeah.
And then that way it gives you a thought, okay, in that second floor, back right-hand corner, that's what that is. And then you're in business. I wanted to give Mike Covey. I saw that you were on here a while ago. I wanted to say thank you for the crystal that was very cool. It's at home. It has a nice place with my little crystal family over here on the little crystal land. So very cool.
I don't know if he uses any of this, Whitney. Do you, Andy? Do you use night vision at all?
I do on my video recorder.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but I do want my next. I'm really wanting a some kind. They make them for the a FLIR, some kind of imaging like that. That seems to pick up stuff that we don't see with the naked eye. From what Chris Mendez, he has one for his phone, and
John, I knew it. John, I know you know. Yeah,
you're not wrong about Andy Poppins.
So John Covey went squatching with us the Saturday night of the bash. That got fun. Awesome. Him, myself, Steve Dills, John's mom.
Oh my God, it's the who's who.
Stacy Lee, Gary. But we ended up going in there, and I think we had more paranormal experience than we did any kind of Bigfooting. Look, Stacy.
Yeah, and they're wondering now if Bigfoot is actually tied to some sort of extraterrestrial type of
what do you think about that?
What do I think about that?
What do you think he is, Andy? Like, you've done that before, so like what's your take on the whole thing?
I think it's definitely an interdimensional being. I just don't see where the possibility of something that big and seen so many times is not something that if something that big lived in the woods, I'm sorry, I don't think they could hide that well if they were being seen closer to residences and stuff like that. Then again, we're pushing into uncharted places, building homes and stuff like that and everything. But I do think you see in hieroglyphics and everything else, where they've written about Bigfoot or a bigger animal like that, especially the Native Americans. And what is the place, Kelly, that we went to that they closed down now that was by 3 Mile Island? Miller Mansion?
Yeah. No, well, the Miller Mansion's still open. The Haldeman Mansion?
Haldeman.
Yeah.
So that had an Indian. The guy was telling me there that they had a mound out in the field across from that. And a lot of people were having sightings of like a dog man, I guess, something like that at nighttime. So looking further into it and working with a couple shamans I don't mess with Native American. If that's going on, I try to get a hold of people
that's some spooky stuff, because if you do it wrong, they take you down. I tell you, somebody who's smart about that is Brian Murray. He loves the dog man stuff. If you get a chance, if you're friends with him, and if you got some places that have seen them, like credible, you met these people. They're like, they're there. We've seen it. It ran on all fours. It was skinny. It run, and it's tall, dog-like snout. It's always fun to include, somebody who that's their passion too, and say, hey man, get some guys, because you'll always see him put in there. Anybody up for a dog man investigation? And he'd probably drop his fishing pole and run to the truck and drive over to you.
To the bus.
Let's go.
Yeah, he's got a Volkswagen bus that I keep trying to talk.
Oh, he's a fun. They were sweethearts at the bash, yeah.
But yeah, But what I learned by looking into that and talking to a couple Native American, well, my ex-wife was her grandmother was 100% Cherokee. So my son is, I guess, Trey would be 50, 60, whatever. But talking to some of her people, I guess mounds, and this may even go to like Moundsville, thinking that's how it got its name, because there's that huge mound across the street. Yeah. The Native Americans believed in putting a watcher over top of their mounds or graveyards or something. And most of the time, it's always been something to the point of like a dog man or a Bigfoot or something, that would watch over the dead, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
And so I don't know if that has something to do with Bigfoot as well. I mean, I had a big, huge liking in Bigfoot when I was probably young teens, because my dad had a sighting, and him and my grandfather at the same time, and they wouldn't talk about it. They kind of, they were the men's men, We're not going to say, I mean, I remember them running back to the car and stuff like that. That was in the Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was in Tennessee. But
Robin, we have to make a field trip out to you.
Salt Fork.
Yeah.
And I got to meet the guys from Mountain Monsters too at Penhurst Paracon and talk with them and their trip. But they take
really nice, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know I don't want to say a whole lot about them, but most of their show is what they have experienced, and they've redo the shows, I guess. Mm-hmm. And some of them, they are out there actually doing it. But yeah. Whitney, I would love to come to Stanton and do something. That's where I don't know, Kelly, did I ever show you? You and I've never been up that way where I could show you like the daggone it. That's where Western State Hospital was.
I was going to say there were a few hospitals, and some of them were apartments or something now. And I think
it was an asylum.
Yeah,
it was an asylum, and now the administration building is like a high-end bed and breakfast or something like that. And they made condos out of the part of the asylum.
Could you imagine? Imagine?
No,
no. We got a great rent special going on this week. Yeah, they do that. They did one to one of the ones here in town, and people were like, what's going on with this? And then finally, this other guy said, "Oh, this used to be a hospital here one time." But I don't think it was divulged. I think they just said it was an older building and it was being repurposed. And then, you're in there and all of a sudden, yeah. Well, they don't want to divulge because it scares the hell out of people.
Right. Well, the thing is, they still have some of the buildings still that have been untouched. So they still have the cages around, like, I guess they had like an outdoor area off of each floor. So they still have the cages around it. And they have a graveyard that's unmarked. I guess it's just numbers. Like they gave the ones who passed, unfortunately, just put a number on them, a state number. And I've heard different things about it. Like I've heard that was the ones that they tried some of the not the best medical procedures on, like lobotomies and stuff like that.
No, they weren't. They weren't. It was bad situations. There wasn't a lot of time to be sterile. It was, remove the severed type extremity, wrap it, and move on to the next one. And you gotta imagine if you were one of the guys who was really in between of living and dying, and they walked up to you and said, "He ain't gonna make it." You're like, wait a second, I've still got some time left.
Yeah, that's kind of like here in Gettysburg. Some of the stories I've been hearing about, like, depending on your wound and your what they thought would be deadly or fatal or not. It depended on if they'd pick you up or they'd walk right past you, which is a horrible thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Modern day triage, they just knew if you were going to survive it or not. Mm-hmm. But they had to move on to the viable people, and that's a hell of a thing to do.
Yeah. I tell you, I had an interesting conversation with. So Dr. King was the last man to own St. Albans. And they had I guess it was people that worked there. They had this picnic for him, and like his two daughters and like niece showed up, and we're all talking, and she's like, "Well, think about it like this: what they did back then, we look at as horrible, but maybe 30 years from now, they'll look at open heart surgery and spreading the rib cage and stuff as horrible as well."
Right.
So, and I was like, that's a pretty good point. Not that I agree with what they did, but shock therapy or something like that, but yeah, but that was an interesting conversation to have, that they looked at it as, even though it looked barbaric, they think it pushed, the medical field even further to figure out, some of the things we do today, and what they may see barbaric now that we do 30 years from now might look, to be what we think's normal might look barbaric to them, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But,
and I'll never forget that when we were in St. Albans in the alcohol ward, and you were sitting next to me, and what I was seeing in the pitch dark, and I told you, and you were seeing the same thing. That there were certain experiences at that place too. That's just another place that stands alone as far as its energy. And
remember the whirlwind upstairs? Yeah, that was crazy. I'd never seen
little tornado like energy. Yeah, and the red eyes from the ceiling that we got. But I think Chris Mendes got a picture of that.
Yeah.
But it's just intense. But yeah. And Whitney, I'm not going to talk over your next question, I promise. Do you have any vapor shirts that he would like to get one? But also, can you tell people how to follow you, please?
Oh, follow Andy. Here it is.
Yeah, you could go on actually my personal page, Andy Andrews, Facebook. My email is myrealparanormal@gmail.com. And then you can go on Vapor, which if you look up Vapor, it'll actually be like that tattoo there. Because there's a couple different vapors out there that have to do with vaping, I guess, and stuff like that. But you can always get to me or somebody through that. Whitney's a personal friend, so man, just send me your size, because I'm getting ready to take an order for a bunch of shirts again. I have more people interested, but yeah, just.
And me and Kelly, what size are you, Kelly?
That's right.
Sure.
I'm gonna tailor it, so I'll take any size you want to give me, and I'll just snip it and tie it and make it my own.
Well, you see how big of a guy I am. I usually go somewhere around the I think 3X if it'll hold me. I don't know if that's it. Is that what you're wearing?
Yep, I'm wearing one of my shirts.
Yeah, that's nice.
Is it a 3X?
That's a 3X, yep.
Okay.
It's pretty big on me. You know how big I am, so.
Well, I mean, I'm tall. I'm 6 foot, whatever.
You would need a big and tall.
A big and tall.
Everybody send Andy your sizes on his Facebook page.
Yeah, definitely. Just hit us up on Vapor or hit us up on my Facebook page, and
you can send them the link to your store too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ghost City Tours, if you're in Gettysburg, come in and see me. And with this job also is bringing on some extra benefits and hobnobbing with the ones that own some of the Civil War properties. So
nice.
Sounds like I need to get a road trip on the way here going.
Yeah, definitely. The inn next door, we're going to try to do something with them, with Gus and Hillary. Shout out to them. Great, awesome people. And if we can't do it through work here, we're going to definitely do it as a personal, few of us going in there. But yeah, I'm always reachable.
Yeah. Well, that's fun when you get just a right size group and you got plenty of places, upstairs, downstairs, spread out, enjoy, get your evidence, and then maybe get a chance to go out to the field, kind of have like an investigation weekend. We're going to do the house one night, and then the next night we got to really, I've heard a lot about Devil's Den. I've heard amazing, incredible, lots of evidence, always own the money. So, that would be interesting to get to do that.
Yeah, pretty cool. They're redoing Little Round Top right now. And just I guess it's been a little over a month ago, I was standing out on the square in front of the store, and I have like SWAT team going by, fire trucks going by, cops going by, and found out they were up there digging and found a live round. Like a round canister, about 3.5 feet down, where they're digging, like they're making the parking lots a little bigger and stuff like that. But the coolest thing is that I've seen a picture that was taken like a day or two after the battle, and showing Devil's Den and the slaughter pen and stuff. And they went through and cut out a lot of trees in that area, and it almost is eerily looks almost the same, which makes sense now why so many people died in the slaughter pen, because it was a wide open area. And but before they cut the trees down, all the growth that came up. But yeah, we have, I mean, it's a very we have a lot of weird stuff happen around here. And
I'm ready to come experience it.
Right.
We do weird.
That's right.
Absolutely. And Andy, we're really thankful that you could come hang out with us tonight and make you're coming live from your office tonight. So thanks for staying extra to talk with us, and make sure everybody that you jump on Facebook or Andy's website and send him your sizes, or get the link to his t-shirt shop online so you can order from him.
Or I would even think Andy's the kind of guy too, where if you got legitimate questions or somebody that needs help, or, Andy's a very approachable guy. As long as you do sincere stuff, folks, that's, he's just that kind of person. So
thank you.
You don't meet those kind of people all the time. So, hats off to Andy's.
And absolutely. And very authentic. So if you do have a question, you don't feel comfortable, posting tonight or something, reach out to him, and he's the same person. So
I've heard it all. And like I said, after my experiences as a kid, I don't want to see anybody else go through that. With their own family and stuff. I mean, so very humbled to be here. I appreciate it.
Well, do you have a minute to just wait backstage until we wrap up?
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, he's so fun.
Yep. Andy was as great as a person to get to go hang out with and meet, and then spend time with, and everything else. So if you ever think of somebody that's as experienced as he is, that is legitimate as he is, Andy's the same person you're sitting here now as he would be if you met him in person. And not all people are that way, and realize that. So
thank you all for joining us tonight. I love to see all the names in the chat, and we had a blast at the bash last weekend. In fact, I was talking to a dear friend of ours throughout the day today, and they just said, like, it feels like it's been so long, even though we've just been apart a week from the bash. Like, everybody went home. It feels like it shouldn't feel this long, but everybody just kind of like, it just feels like so long ago. But we had a blast, and we're really thankful that you all could jump on and tune in with us too tonight. Next week, 2 weeks from now, and I didn't even get to tell you this, buddy. In 2 weeks, our next guest is going to have a subject that's completely unique, and we didn't talk about it yet.
Oh, folks, the secret is held on to.
So I'm not going to put it out there yet, but I am going to say that it's a topic that a lot of people are curious about or were interested in, but we didn't get to do a show on it yet. And so he's coming on in 2 weeks.
Here we go.
That's all I'm going to say for now.
It never ceases to amaze me. Fun stuff here, talking paranormal. Thanks for everybody coming to hang out with it. We love you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Good night. Bye-bye.